In this video we're going to be looking at this Velvet Action 3-speed record changer model 104. This came attached to a Stromberg Carlson radiogram from around 1951. I've also got an earlier Stromberg Carlson radiogram which I suspect had possibly not this turntable, because this seems to have also come out around 1951, the 3-speed version, but it probably has something similar looking, which is a single speed, just a 78 version. This is an actual changer as well. Looks like they just put their own branding. This Velvet Action thing is a Stromberg Carlson branding. But with a bit of research you find that they're actually these things, which is a Webster Chicago. Possibly a model 156. This is one I found that was close, so I thought it would probably do for now. Shows a picture of how it holds the records on there. If you go to the Radio Museum, they've got these on there under Webster Chicago. So that's where I pinched this copy from and printed it out. And this has got some useful instructions on the thing, because I've never seen one before. This one's missing a knob off there, which is something to do with setting the automatic, which is a lever underneath. It's got a turnover cartridge in it. So 78 or 33 to 45. Some micro grooves. So these must have come out around the time micro groove records came out, and 78s weren't the only thing out there anymore. Needle sit down pad. This doesn't have one. Off button. I'm not sure this has one either. So there's probably a few differences. It's a similar looking mechanism though. The Webster one has a different sort of shell type thing to clamp it. This one's got this weird little setup, and you can rotate this to the different size: 7-inch, 10-inch, 12-inch. I think 10-inch is just 78s, and then you clamp it. So I wasn't even sure how that worked at first, but yeah, basically you've got this arm that sort of drops down when it's tilted over that way. Sit your record on there, clamp it in, and that's ready to drop then. Not exactly sure how it drops, but I think it's something to do with this arm itself. So that sits there like that. I think this is actually meant to push it sideways. Is that it? And then it drops down. This doesn't fit quite as it should, I don't think. That should be sitting in those little slots, I think. Which it doesn't do, so that probably needs some adjustment. It actually needs to go adjustment in the other direction, I think, because that's only just sitting there. And yeah, when that pushes in, it should drop. I guess it gives a quick flick, drops one record. But yeah, certainly a weird design compared to the British ones anyway. Turn the record selector post to 10 or 12-inch. Turn the selector control sleeve on button, which I think is this one, yeah, on button, to automatic. So that's this central bit, I think. And that also pushes down. With the record ballast weight turned back, which is this bit, I think. Does it say? Yeah, record ballast weight. Place up to 10, 12-inch or 12, 10-inch records. The bottom record rests on the step there. Turn the record ballast weight forward to rest on the top record. Press the on button. Oh, is that little piece there maybe that sits on the top record? Well, that makes sense. So you move that out of the way. Press the on button, which must be that, so that's what triggers it. I was wondering what actually triggered this thing. So you press that down, set it to auto, press that down. To reject any record, yeah, I noticed, I did find a picture of one of these that still has the button, and that's what I did say something about set and reject or something on there. Like the off button may be depressed during any portion of the change cycle. The pickup arm may be moved manually at any time without damage to the mechanism. Last record has been played. Pickup arm is automatically locked in position and should not be handled until it has come to rest on the off button. After the last record has been played, the entire stack may be removed from the turntable at one time. The simplest procedure: remove the ballast weight out of position, obviously because that was in the way. Place fingers of both hands under opposite edges of the bottom record. Do not apply pressure to the top record. Keep your thumbs free. Lift the stack of records, obviously with the bottom record being used. Following the contours of the spindle. This permits a stack of records to follow the curve of the spindle without binding and greatly facilitates the removal of the stack. And manually turn the record selector to 12-inch. This is not essential but permits more clearance. Turn the selector switch sleeve of on button to manual. So that's the other position on that. Place a record on the turntable. It may facilitate this operation if the record is placed over the spindle at an angle with the edge of the record held below the level of the record selector post shelf. Records may be removed in the same manner. Press the on button. Place the needle gently on the edge of the record. Do not lift the pickup arm too high as this will cause it to catch in the automatic stop lock position. Particular care should be exercised if a pickup has a sapphire point needle. Although the sapphire is very hard and long wearing, it's extremely brittle and may be fractured or chipped if dropped on the record. To stop the mechanism at any time, press the off button. And then we get into service information for automatic trip fails to function. This is a bit of what I need to look at, is how this model actually works. If the reject trip fails to function, if the mechanism continues to cycle, pickup arm lift too high or too low, needle set down, indexing incorrect, pickup arm drops off the off button, change cycle starts before end of a record, more than one record is dropped during a change cycle, record drops on pickup arm, push off post angle incorrect, erratic indexing, glide on 12-inch records, last record continues to play, last record does not play, and some info on replacing various parts, lubrication, and that's all the bits I think I've done. There are a few more pages there, spare parts and all that. I was going to compare that to this thing to see if it's actually definitely the same model or not, but that part pulls out. This lifts off, copper coated underneath, or looks like it anyway. And as a lot of people pointed out on the forums, the big failure with this model is this idler stays permanently on the pulley. Other record players, I think, actually have a, when you go into the stop position, it pulls off. This one just leaves it attached all the time, which if you use it on a regular basis probably wasn't a big issue. And we've lifted that up. But once it's been sitting around for a long time, you get all this damage to the idler where it's just been sitting still for ages. This has gone pretty rock hard. Really rock hard. It's actually, yeah, you can break pieces off it. Yeah, that's actually crunching up a bit. There are companies in America that will put new rubber on these things. So I guess you could almost cut this one off around that zinc bit or whatever it is and cut a new piece of rubber or something. I might even try putting something on this. I was thinking maybe if we file it down a little bit and put a rubber belt or something on it, might do to just get it going for now. And I did notice, yeah, it's got this constantly running thing here off the platter, so the motor comes through this idler onto the outer rim of the platter, and then it's got a gear on the inner part here which runs our mechanism. But now I know that you press that to engage things. Am I going in the right direction though? So that would be going that way, I believe. So that gear should be running that way. If we, oh, here we go, yeah, we've got engagement of the arm. Oh, that thing's moving as well. Oh, that's more than I got last time because I wasn't pressing this thing. Yeah, as soon as we press that, you feel it do some stuff. Well, it lifts the arm and it moves the, whatever they call it. But I don't know if we're actually in manual or auto mode at the moment either. Let's turn that. Which way did I say it rotates that way? Yes, it goes that way. Oh, in that mode this is locked out. So we must have been in auto mode. But yeah, that doesn't seem to want to... I was having some issues with this arm. Was locking and wasn't moving across. And I think some roller under here is running in the wrong place by the look of it. Which I can't even see it now. Where is it? There's a little roller down under there near the switch. And it's running on the tooth part of that upper wheel. But there's all sorts of stuff in this thing. But quite a few of the manuals seem to have this sort of shaped base plate. There are some other mechanisms. There's a whole listing of them that are somewhat different. I think there's one with 2 idler wheels in it and different things. This one's close to the correct model, I think. I guess I'm going to have a look, and oh, that's moving now. Yeah, it's a bit random whether it decides to move or not. Oh, so that pushes back from there at least. But that I think should flick back again. Oh, there we go, we can... Oh yeah, there you go, if you push it a bit, it actually lands on the record, comes back. Yeah, that thing flicks another record out, and now, oh no, here we go. That should be able to play right across, and I guess that when it gets to the middle, it's going to trigger something again. Interestingly, I think it's, well, that's the other thing, it does somehow supposedly detect the end of the record or something, so maybe it's going into off mode. No, that's failing to move across again. There we are, we're free. Do I have to, it's catching on something though. It's not dropping. Oh, there we go, it dropped. So that should drop. I would assume this moves across until something is triggered again. At which stage the arm should get out of the way, although it didn't. So we would have had the problem of the record falling on the arm. Yeah, nothing. I think that's given way. So this should move across. Yeah, something connected. But that isn't getting out of the way. But do we have something else to detect the record size? Oh, that's the record. That's different speed, but that doesn't necessarily give size. So this is largely in working order, I think. But for the fact that doesn't get out of the way properly, well, that should then go there. That should move across. It's not pushing the arm back. That drops the record. Yeah, this should have come across. Now it's dropping in the wrong spot, or it's decided to turn off one or the other. So yeah, largely a working unit, I think, but a few little things not quite right. And what have we got? We've got a cartridge in here which says use a static needles A3 white label, A1 red label, and something written after that. I don't know if these styluses are any good. That one's a bit bent, to say the least. AST, oh, A-static, so that's the, okay, that's the brand of that thing, I guess, of the cartridge. Ceramic cartridge, ACDC 2M. Oh, there you go, A-static Corp, Connie out, O, made in USA. Did it actually tell us anything on that? Oh no, well that's not going to tell us anything, is it? Because that's the record player manufacturer. This is the cartridge manufacturer. Just a mono cartridge, of course. Back in those days, everything was mono still. Well, not much point putting a stereo record player in a mono radio unit, I guess, but later ones did, I think, actually have stereo on the record and mono on everything else. Radio and also the TV combos sometimes. So that is quite a complicated mess of things. The arm bit is, yeah, these bits here. And there's a couple of pieces, including that bit. Another lever, so that presses on the switch. And the switch is actually free to move a bit as well. The arm piece here presses on the switch. What does it? Make the motor... Oh, so the motor should come on when the arm comes out. There's some piece under here that should hit the arm. That goes across here, all sorts of stuff. Oh, so that's why they're calling that the stop position. I got you. So it's not that there's a stop switch there. This stop means, yeah, this is where the arm, you can hear it click. So I guess that arm can never come fully back anyway. It's just got to come back enough to let a record drop. Otherwise the whole mechanism's going to come to a halt. Comes across, that triggers something, so that part seems to work. Ah, so that record select the post. Oh, that is it. So yeah, okay, that sets something. When we click that, it's going to say it must do something, I guess. That sets the 12-inch. Guess I should take that needle out of there, but I'm not sure what it's doing, but something's moving in there. When we rotate that, this little zinc bit here is moving around and pulling on something there that comes in tight or not tight. Probably should get rid of some of the dust out of here, I guess. Yeah, so that's telling it something, I guess, regarding the arm. I assume by erratic indexing they mean erratically finding the front of the record or something where it lands. 10-inch compression spring holds the stud of the arm lever against the outside, forcing the stud to travel. Bend the slotted arm for proper tension and smooth clearance of the spring guide. Record drops on pickup arm. First motion of the inclined outer bottom surface of the main cam causes the record selector post 42. Oh yeah, okay, that's the... Oh, this thing, that's right, they're saying it's got to line up the curve in that with the edge of the record to move towards the spindle about 3/32 of an inch. This position is maintained until the pickup arm has made its full outward lateral excursion, at which time the record selector post again moves towards the spindle, causing the bottom record to drop into the play position. Yeah, so that's... If the record selector post 42, which is that same thing, has been bent back away from the record spindle, it is possible for a standard record to rest on the spindle step with this edge, oh yeah, with this spindle step here, just over the edge of the record selector post shelf. Or record selector post, oh yeah, shelf, so that's probably that little bit there. Then as the change cycle is started, the record is pushed off the spindle by the initial movement of the record selector post so that it drops on the pickup arm. To correct this condition, the rocker arm assembly must be adjusted so that the record selector post is brought nearer to the spindle. I think that was what was wrong with this one. Well, this one looked like it was too close maybe. This adjustment is made in the following manner. With the mech at rest, remove the turntable and replace the record spindle. Set the record selector post to the position for playing 12-inch records. Place a 12-inch record. Insert a short screwdriver through the motor board opening into the screw slot as shown as A in figure 6. So that's this other bit here. A in figure 6. So where are we? That's, oh, is it one of these holes? Well, I said something about it. Oh yeah, there would be that screw down there, I'm guessing. Clockwise rotation of the screw will increase the distance. Counterclockwise will decrease it. It is recommended the distance between the edge of the record and the step of the record selector post be held to just over 1/32 of an inch. so that records with rough or sharp beveled edges will not catch the outer edge of the record. Select the post. Be certain that a standard size record is used in making this adjustment. Standard 10-inch measures 9 7/8 inch plus or minus 1/32 of an inch diameter. A standard 12-inch record measures 11 7/8 inches plus or minus 1/32. I do wonder whether that's part of the issue we got here. Something's definitely out there, I think, at least compared to this modern 12-inch. Now should that sit? Yeah, because it's got to push that way, so we want it to sit. That's actually kind of right now. Didn't seem right before. Yeah, that's almost going to hit the arm of that thing. So when that was, let's set that back on there, and that should be clamped on there. We push it. Jesus, it only just fits on the whole record player anyway. So let's see, if that arm's in, unless that arm is meant to go into the off position, I wouldn't think so, but yeah, that does have to come right back. Which I don't think it was even trying to do, or sometimes it did, maybe. So this should be sitting better like that. There's a bit of play in there, is probably not the best. Yes, this arm, if we even come in a little bit, I think, yeah, we're going to hit it. So it almost has to go back to the off position, but if it goes to the off position, so is this arm out or something? Well, it could be. Could be this arm's not right on its shaft. Or at least the off, where the off switch part is being pressed. So I don't think it'd be meant to turn off, because how would it start again if it's got no motor? Oh, well, that does have adjustment. Oh, we just lost our little rubber piece off that, but that has adjustment too, doesn't it? Oh, maybe in auto mode, does that go further out or something? That's not on until there. Oh, interestingly, that can be held in the other position. It doesn't operate at all with the arm. So it should be running all the time. So that bit, oh yeah, so that's what this part of this is. Looks like that actually unplugged. Yeah, it does actually, oh, well, it fell off. But it does unplug. And I think we might unscrew that for its own safety. Not that it's probably in much good condition, but where'd that little bit go that fell off? There it is. So the soldering wasn't very good. But we can put all those bits in a bag with the cartridge. But that's it in all its glory. The aesthetic. Let's do a pointy bits on it, sort of, but the metal bits have, oh, that one's been badly bent on an angle like 45 degrees almost. Yeah, that needle isn't going to make much contact. Let me guess here, the 78's the one that's going to be intact, the one we don't want. That's bent as well. Can probably be straightened out a bit, but that's, yeah, on a similar angle. Maybe the whole thing needs pushing out, but yeah, no, that other one's definitely badly damaged, I think. Well, this is one of those situations where reading the instructions is a good idea, and the parts list, because it tells you what bits and pieces are. Now it's this sort of semicircular bit that moves the arm. These bits, I think this lever in particular catches on the cam. That's the bit that when the record arm gets in the central because it's finished playing the record. That's what trips it to return, and we know that bit was working. And if you look at this, was it page 19.3? It tells you, oh well, that shows the diagram. There's part number 40, and that's our arm coming down there, or goes, that's the arm, the pin that it sits on, that's that half circle thing, and then there's a lever under it, number 40. And according to this, yeah, under needle set down indexing incorrect, the horizontal movement of the pickup arm. So the other bit, that bit does the vertical, that number 40, but it also does, according to the previous bit, horizontal movement of the pickup arm is controlled by the eccentric excursion of the pickup arm raising lever 40. So it raises it, moving the pickup arm raising disc 34 when actuated by the main cam assembly 38. So it's not these upper bits here. One bit does the switch. That's that other pivoting bit which trips it at the end. It's this piece underneath here which is behind the switch at the moment, and you can feel that goes across to the cam assembly. Oh yeah, we can see the other end of it's down here by the look of it. Looks like it's this pin here, which I just popped right out of the bit it was in, so that's a bit of a worry that it comes out. Unless it's meant to do that, probably not. But that, you can see a ramping piece which must set the height. Yeah, it likes to pop out. So I guess we've got to check that it isn't doing that on its own. Yeah, that pivots up and down to lift the arm. Yeah, that pushes it up and down. And of course, it can also, in this groove, move side to side. And if you look at this semicircular bit, there is one little piece sticking down, so I assume it catches on that or something. At least we know where the other end of it is now. So that's the eccentric motion. Of course, it keeps wanting to go in the one place where I don't want it. Yeah, if we push it across that way, that must be the bit that... So where does it have to be to start with? Oh, that's the outer, so we must... Oh, it goes that way. Well, that's going to push it outwards, isn't it? That pushes out, so we want it to come in, or that comes along. It does have a piece on the other end here. I do wonder whether this is even in the right position, because that doesn't, yeah, it does exactly what it was doing. It doesn't move the arm at all. It moves up and down, no problem, but there's nothing for it to grip on. We're just sliding across, and the only little pin bit, yeah, that can, oh, I guess if this is far enough in though, that doesn't really go far enough in, I don't think. It's got to go in a bit, oh, it depends where the centre of the record is, but yeah, that's obviously got to come up, grip that piece, yeah, that's how it turns it sort of thing. That little pin bit sticking out on the semicircular part. So probably if it's pushing upwards and outwards. So that means the arm's got to be in the right position, the cam's got to push that piece in the right position. But at least we know what we're looking at now, so I may not have to pull this thing apart. Oh yeah, there's that piece. It's just down in here, this pin is following around. It's up. And supposedly this record arm should lift right up to the top record on the stack, and then it stops here by the look of it. And how do we've got to press auto, I think. Well, that didn't do anything. No, we're just moving the other one now. We'll have to manually say that was, oh, that was roughly where it was. It seems to stop there. So that's pushing our arm up. If I keep my hand on it, hey, that's, yeah, that's it. That actually worked then. That grab that pin, it pushed it back, yeah, then it stops. And I guess what should be the off position, though when we're in changer mode we don't get an off actuation on the switch by it because the switch has been moved out of the way. And that's got that little, I notice there's a little copper piece comes up. It looks like it hits this thing, does it? Should that be stopping it? How does this other piece operate? Oh yeah, that's got a catcher to stop it. So yeah, this other copper piece here has a little hook. There's a copper piece comes along. There's some bit of piece sticking out on an angle. And then it hits this thing. It's got a little catcher down under there, although it's already seemingly jamming on it. Is that what's stopping me from rotating? It goes right to that point. And I forget how we move that piece now. Is that on that roller thing? Yeah, that's on a roller that sits on the top gear. And I noticed that the roller was kind of rolling on the teeth rather than on the rim below, which I think it's meant to do. Ah, here we go, something just moved. Oh yeah, so something just allowed this to move again. So we've got to have both cams involved. That's coming across. Yeah, that should have pushed the arm up and across. Yeah, see that grabs it right there, or if it doesn't slip out, I think it might have been slipping out, so why does this thing need more weight on it or something? Is it not sitting down properly? So many things it could be. Yeah, that gear spins until it hits that piece. If we rotate the other gear, I think we eventually yeah, that's jammed as well on that. Or do we need to press the piece again? Yeah, something's tight. Yeah. So now I can't turn anything around. Oh, that's the bit that, yeah, that bit pushes in to trip. That should trip that other piece. Ah, yeah, so that lets go and triggers. Oh, yeah, that's what triggers the arm. Is that other piece on the arm pushes on this piece under here and is meant to cause that to let this second cam gear go. What is blocking this? This is locked up for some reason. It's on a roller that can't go any further. Yeah, okay, so we've loosened it now. This should then run, push our arm up, swing it back until it gets to some point, yeah, where that copper bit I guess comes and locks. Yeah, it's something, I think that's actually lifting up. And I'm not sure that's meant to work that way. Well, because we're doing it on a funny angle probably doesn't help. But I suspect something's not right with that. Ah, so if we're down lower it doesn't lock anyway. So it will keep cycling. So eventually something causes it to lift up and catch. Yeah, I don't really like that lever much because the roller doesn't seem to be in the right spot. It's like it's bent or something. That will come across. When it hits it, it doesn't really do much, but I guess it should. Hey, if it just knocked it slightly, might be enough. That bit definitely looks bent in there, like someone's been at it. And I'm not sure how you get this arm off this thing. A bit of wire, of course. Do we just undo? I think we just undo this piece. I think we probably need to mark it. I think I'll mark it on the upper side maybe, where it sits. And if I undo that one screw, actually the other thing we need to do is mark where it sits the other way as well. So we rotate it back because this pin is just a round pin. I think I'm going to have to take that off. I'll take that right out since it's covered in muck. Let's see if we can get this arm up. Oh, there's two bits of metal on here. Oh, so we've just undone one bit, is that what's going on? Oh, there's, yeah, second grub screw there by the look of it. I think they moved independently, but they certainly do now. Well, the grub screw lines up with the previous line I put there. Is that the sort of size we're looking at? It's the exact size we're looking at. It's not loose either, there must be more than one then. Yeah, there's a second one there. Yes, that's annoying. I'm going to mark that one then just so we don't get the wrong one. When we go to put it back together, except that doesn't seem to want to go into that one. Oh, there we are. Yeah, now we're loose, I think. Yeah, that feels better. Yeah, definitely dried up grease on that. Oh yeah, there's two little holes they go into, so yeah, that's a lot stiffer than it probably should be. Oh, I forgot the wiring, better watch that. I can take these bits out, possibly. Oh yeah. They've gone and attached the terminal block there. Let's just snip the wires, take the arm right off. That's the first part of the step of getting this thing apart. And what else do we have to, oh, this piece, the duckbill thing, whatever it is. So why don't we just take the top plastic, oh, there's a screw there. Again, I'm going to mark that. Let's mark it dead onto the screw, I guess, and put a little mark on the screw plate there, just get an idea. Will this come off easily? It's actually quite loose. Do have to take the screw right out. Just being careful to keep this hands on the turntable so it doesn't drop if this slips off suddenly. Which is liable to do, knowing my luck. Oh yeah, as soon as you take that screw out, yeah, it goes right, oh, it goes right through to the other side of this thing probably. Okay, does it actually screw into that piece, or no, it screws into the metal somewhere. Oh, I'm going to put this other screw that I fully removed back into here, just so I know where it went. So these bits can do with a bit of a lubrication. Yeah, rather dried up grease there. And that was a, how many millimetre? 2 millimetre. So now we should be able to remove this bit. I thought that was a captive nut, but I'm starting to think it's not captive at all. No, it's loose. No, it doesn't really look like a captive one at all, so that was just my bad memory. So let's put that back there. So we don't lose that either. Then I think it's this screw and this screw. Maybe that screw. Something like that should drop the whole mech out. And there's some sort of like an earth terminal, although it's not connected to anything. I did that clamp on something. There used to be something rubber under that, I think. No idea what. Now, what is this bracket? I'm just going to mark with that one as well, because I believe that, oh, that's where the master cam is. So that doesn't all come loose when we take this off. Well, I mean, in some ways I guess it needs to, but has that gear got to go or anything? Well, it's another one I can see there. Because it's not moving at all. Now we're loose on that side, that where I just took it off, and something's... I thought that piece was going to come with it, but I guess it's probably not, is it? What's holding it? Something's definitely pulling on it. There's a big spring in there. Okay, I probably should read more of the instructions, but there's a spring right there. Very tight spring by the sound of that. Just watch this thing doesn't go flying anywhere, and I'm going to get my hand out from under there in case it comes flying down and tries to bite me. And just be careful of your eyes in case this should go downwards, but man, it's that got some tension. It does not even want to let go. And I'm probably scraping this nice paint a bit. There it goes. That's going to be fun to get back on, no doubt. Oh, there was something else. Oh, another spring. This spring on this arm thing, that long bit sticking out there, that was going through something. We've got some motor wiring getting in the way. Oh, of course that goes to the switch. And this is where you've got to keep an eye on that. Oh, there's that. I think that was a little spacer I was looking at. Yeah, went on here. There's always something escapes here. That one on there, that to me is looking a bit iffy the way that goes. So can we unscrew? Yeah, we can unscrew the switch with a small screwdriver. But yeah, I was going to say, keep an eye on this rubber cabling. Once you start moving it around, that's when it starts failing. And oh yeah, that's already cracked there. And that goes right into the motor, so we're going to have to be extra careful, I guess, or we can maybe just connect onto the ends where they just come out of the motor. So we probably should remove that switch. Oh, that just takes the cover off, that'd be right. At least we can see it. That must, sure that... Ah, it's been riveted on. That'll be right. Okay, let's just snip them off for now. They're going to have to be replaced now, or put some sort of heat shrink or spaghetti tubing over the whole length of them. That's another way you can sort of repair them. There's our mech. And no doubt this probably pulls off. Ooh, something just rotated when I did that, but yeah, there's a little copper bit that comes up into these. Oh, they're not actually holes. They look like holes from underneath, but they're just little stepped bits. So at least we can lube that. And we can get that out of the way, because this is the bit that seems to be this roller bit. And maybe even the bit with the switch. Can we get this whole assembly out of here? No, I think there's other bits in the way. Which that is the bit that lifts our arm up, or is supposed to. That is the bit that lifts up and down and drags across. And where is it on here? There's a tiny little pin, that's it. Or little, someone's, looks like they squeezed the metal. Otherwise it's this kind of pointy chamfered off bit, except for that one bit that sticks up. That's what it's meant to catch on. And I do wonder whether that's not worn or something, because it certainly looks a bit worn. Maybe it's taken one face off it a bit or something. Because I think the arm runs on this bit by the look of the wear. Yeah, that's it. So we could find that this has actually lost a bit of its shape. Possibly could file down into this chamfered off little edge bit. And I wouldn't be surprised if it needs a bit of that. Maybe take even just at the end there. It's only a little edge piece on here, so yeah, we could probably file that down a bit and sort of reshape that into a sharper point. Oh yeah, that face is worn big time. I was actually a little, unless it was meant to be like that, there's a little dip just before it even, which is what I was actually thinking of trying to create, but the face looks pretty worn. So again, because of lack of lubrication over the years or whatever, that might have worn away a bit. And this is why these are a pain to fix, because you find little pieces like that are just slightly worn away and you've got no idea what they originally looked like. And that's what causes your grief, trying to work all that out. See, that's lifting up, and then it should snag that little piece. Where are we? Oh, of course we haven't got anything to sit on. I'll be above that pin, I guess. That way, I think. Yeah, then it's meant to push on that pin, which is rotating our arm, and it just went back. Yeah, that's the motion. Yeah, well, this is in changer mode, so it just keeps repeating. It's meant to. This is meant to stop. That thing's meant to stop, I think, to catch it. Or this thing. I think that something makes it catch. And then I think that sits like that until the arm comes in and pushes that, which allows, actually it's the other way I think. Does it push it down? Because that should be caught on that other bit. It's only just a very gentle, oh it goes that way I think, so it must let it unlock. And this whole thing looks like it's sitting high. This roller probably is no longer a nice bit of rubber, and it was running on the teeth largely. Instead I assume it runs on this, which has these other little, and I think it should run on these bits on the rim and then hit these to push it out or whatever. Maybe that cycles something. Bit hard to know for sure, but that should keep the roller, or depending whether it's sprung in place or not, or got something pushing on it. And yeah, I was looking at this before. It's got, I think it's just bad moulding. It's got this sort of rough, thin piece here. So that's just where it's got seeped into the mould or something. Two bits of mould that aren't joined together that well. So that's no big deal. Oh, what's that? Looks like a bit of damage. I don't know. Maybe it's just where the grease has been wiped off. That's all it is, I think. And yeah, this. Imagine what this grease is going to be like. Not good, I would think. That black stuff used to be grease. It's kind of greasy, but a lot more viscous than it should be, I would think. Ugh. So I think we're going to have to, but how do I get this, can I get this other cam gear to lift or anything? Does not want to move at all by the look of it. That's sitting on a greasy bit on the bottom that should, and we've got the slot underneath it that runs this arm, should be lubed. I don't think you can see anything stopping it from lifting, but it definitely does not want to unless there's something under here. Ah, we have a circlip. A rather odd looking circlip, but definitely a circlip there. Well, that explains that. But if we can't get these arms out of the way, we're kind of not going to get anywhere anyway. And we've got this other, how's this other arm, that pivots on, it's on this thing, which has got a pin holding it on. Yeah, that's riveted into the base. So that cannot come off. Or do we just rotate these in the right spot? So it's actually this small one that's holding it on. If we can get that into the right position. Oh, there goes that little spacer, which I suspect is a bit short, but maybe not. Seems to have a lot of play in places you wouldn't expect too much play. Yeah, this other lower part will definitely lift off, but only if we get this out of the way. Oh, I know, we must... What's it, I bet we simply move that to the right position. There we go. I won't even take that spring off, I don't think, but see, now we can slot that off. This here looks somewhat, that lever there I think is bent sideways. See, that's the one that it pushes on, so that might not be... Oh no, it was this one. That one does look bent as well, but maybe it's meant to be. This one's been all bent up. So that one's definitely done something to that. The problem is we don't know exactly where it sat originally, but that's all been... And it looked a lot like this. Looks pretty straight from here. Looked like this... I think I pushed it down a bit. This roller had been lifted up, because like I said, it was seemingly running in the wrong spot. I think that's meant to be slightly down there. Yeah, hard to say for sure. This is quite a flimsy piece. So again, if it's slightly bent out, who's going to know? Well, that is definitely on a bit of an angle. But should it be? Shouldn't it be? Yeah, it's going to kind of bend the whole thing up with it, I think, because just a slight bit of change in one of these could be enough to really upset things. Though I guess the adjustments are probably designed to fix that. That's still soft. Not sure if it should run better than that. It's quite a bit of friction. I don't know if we should really put oil on a rubbery bit. Probably not. That will actually come off, I think. It's so soft. This thing's been kept in good condition. Good conditions. Which has kept it in good condition. That's not a lot of friction, but it seems more than it should be. Yeah, this thing, I don't know. I don't think it's got any spring or anything. It's just gravity. Pretty free, but again we could have a surface here that's worn. Looks pretty factory though. We've only really got one piece, or plus, oh, that's on a roller as well by the look of it. We should be able to take that apart and lube it fairly easily, because it's only the pin for this piece that lifts and swings the arm that we really need to... Hopefully that's the only bit. It's already pushing it up. Yeah, nothing else I think really operates, and even that doesn't look the best, but that could have worn. There's a little path that follows. So we want grease around there, we want grease up the middle, grease on that bottom bit, grease on that pin obviously that goes in that groove. Yeah, that grease is awful. Feels free, but see, then we've got this pivoting bit here too, so this can almost lift up. It's only this bit that slides through holding that on, I think. What is that bit? It goes all the way over under here, I think. And that probably wants some grease where it pushes onto that bit. Yeah, thankfully that roller seems alright. That's a bit better, I think. We're a bit out of focus there, but anyway. It's hard to keep up with all the different things you're doing and try and fix the thing. because I'm just used to getting in and fixing things, not trying to film them. So there is a kind of outer thing. Oh, that's where that roller runs, I guess, is on this outer bit. And there's a little, I wonder if that's part of what stops it, because it felt like it had a kind of stop position, and that might be when that roller sits in that hole. But yeah, quite a few little bits and pieces going on in these things. But I guess in reality there's less than a VCR or something with its cam gears in many ways. So we've got a few bits and pieces to keep going. Probably should put this in a car parts washer or something really. It would be the ideal way to get them clean, but there's not that much to them. Just a bit messy. Nothing a few cotton buds don't normally fix. There's not a lot of grease on that outer part, though it looks like it's had some, because there's definitely a layer of something on there. And you're not really going to get a velvet action if you don't have some grease. Let's clean out whatever's down there, whatever's on this top face. Whatever's on that bottom face, which isn't much. Gotta be a bit more in there. And there's a bit on that little pin sticking out. A bit on there which probably doesn't matter. We need to get that clean. Yeah, it's very caked up stuff. But it wasn't bad grease. It's certainly not as bad as you get in many turntables, so the Americans must have got their grease fairly good. Unless this thing has had a bit of use or something in the meantime. Looking at the idler, I doubt it. Looks like that's been sat around for plenty of time. But I would like to at least get this mechanism doing its main changing operations. It'd be interesting to see the thing actually run. Oh, we've got a, this is under this same gear, so let's get all the grot off that pin. Look at it. But yeah, whatever this grease is, it's gone hard, or harder, but at least it hasn't set hard like concrete, like in a lot of them, and seized everything up. So it's still somewhat greasy after all these years. I think I got it wrong in this video. This is a 1953 model, not a 1951. The actual chassis and the radio parts are 53 A13 or something. And yeah, it did say 53 for some reason. I was thinking 51 afterwards, but that's around the year this mechanism came out, supposedly. And I guess if people are going by what models had it and what year they came out, that would probably be it. And I think there was just a single speed version before, if I didn't mention it, but a lot of dust on here. There's grease down under where that's where the shaft from the arm sits. And there's some serious dust caught up in the springs. I'll get everything somewhat cleaned up in here, I guess. Oh, I've got some dirty cotton buds I'm about to throw in the bin. Bit of dust probably doesn't matter much, but still, at least you can see what's in here if you get rid of it. something. Oh yeah, this is meant to pivot. Oh yeah, there we go. Another pivoting part, and yeah, some dried up grease on that bit as well. So there's a million different parts in this thing that need lubing. Might even just put a bit of oil on those. And this here has that pivot, which still seems good. I might put a little bit of oil down in that, I think. I guess the other question is it's sliding up its own. The shaft it's on, that bit there. So do we need something? I reckon some grease under that bottom bit would have been, yeah, there's something messy under there. Yeah, that's grease. So that definitely had grease on the bottom side, probably not so much on the top. And there's all sorts of dirt under there. So let's get some grease. And start with a big blob under there. That can drop into. When it wants to. Oh yeah, it's probably catching on that. That bit, I probably should have cleaned it first, but anyway, let's... Those two surfaces I think want a bit. Oops. Well, running everywhere. That's exactly what I wanted to avoid. Let's just get a little bit down in there. Because you don't want it running out and getting on who knows what. So as long as you get it between those bits of metal, you can sort of wipe the rest off. Get plenty on that pin. Plenty on that shaft. Most of that I'll probably wipe down, so I'll put some we can go in the bit itself, I guess. Oh, actually I didn't clean that bit off, did I? That was that bit. Oh, that's the other gear anyway, we got the wrong one. Let's do the bottom one first. Oh yeah, we've got the track on the bottom. I think it really just runs around the outside of that, so let's just... And we've got plenty on the pin, but that won't last long over such a long distance. Where it narrows, I might... I guess it is probably made... Is it maybe meant to run on the inside sometimes? Yeah, I might do the inside face, because it's got a wide track there. One would assume that that's used for something. And that's what I want to get. Not sure if that little bit sticking out. Does that catch on something? Doesn't look like it. Not sure why they got that there. Bit down the hole, bit on the upper face. And oh yeah, this outer, well, that's the roller. I'm not really sure. Probably wouldn't have to put a tiny bit of, I'll just get a cotton bud, because there was definitely some grease on that bit. I think we're going to smear a smaller amount. Seemed to mainly be on the lower face, because that's where the roller runs. I don't think it runs on the side bits. Just rolls around into that little pit. And we got some muck on there. Smear it around that surface. And yeah, we had to use the master cam to get these other bits so I could fit them. So I need to push that. That doesn't want to go. That should be in there, but it's not. Oh, yes, it is in there. I can't. Oh yeah, so we've got to drop right. Oh yeah, we've got to get this other bit, the roller, and drop it right down. Yeah, I think that was somewhere around where we had to fit those other arms in. And I did forget to I'm going to put a little dab of oil on that bit underneath that, on these two pivot points. And same maybe, well, that needs a bit of a clean, doesn't it? But same on these bits. Look at that dust on this thing. Just a tiny amount, and we'll wipe a bit of that off afterwards. Anything that runs out. And just clean everything as you go. This is going to get grease on one side, maybe put a bit of grease so it'll get it when the other gear sits down on here. Then we've got the red washer as well. Let's actually pop back up a bit. Could even use, might need some bigger pliers for this, but they might work. I assume that just locks in there, does it? Doesn't have a massive amount of tension on it. Maybe that kind of wants squeezing in a bit. We might as well put a bit of grease for the washer to sit on. And oh yeah, we better get our bits here back on. Yeah, no sign of there really being grease. There's more fluff on this bit. I'm going to put a tiny bit on it anyway, I think, just around that shaft and where it sits down, and probably that pivot point there. And just hope this thing's bent roughly where it should be. I've got to get that bit out of the way. And I'll just, I don't know what we can do there. That wants a little bit more grease there maybe. The other one takes it all off unfortunately, but it probably won't hurt to have a bit. Oh, of course it drops right down. Look at that little spacer which seems a bit inadequate, but at least it'll hold that on there a bit better. That bit should be fine. I've got to clean a bit of oil out from where it's run off that bit. And that bit. And that bit. And this bit, no doubt. And wipe some of this other muck off while we're in here. That bit has some grease on it. Oh, that was where our arm came down, that's right. So we need to put a bit for the arm to sit on. I guess we're going to put the upper gear back on. The brass bit in the middle of that seems to stick out a bit on that side, but oh, I haven't actually cleaned that one out, have I? Well, look at it, because it looks like it's full of old grease. Oh, that was the new grease I put in there, that's alright. I don't know if I actually need it on that top bit, but I don't think this is too critical. There's no alignment between these bits, I don't think. I'm happy that roller's sitting right in the middle of it is on that bit, so that's what I wanted, although like I said, this does move up and down a bit, which is the worrying bit. Should this bit be bent more? You'd think there'd be something to stop that moving up and down, but as long as it doesn't slip off that, I think I'll be right. Yeah, it goes between the, yeah, across the range of it, so that should be alright. So what have we got here? Some, yeah, I think we've had grease there at some point too. Up and down that a bit. That's all part of what we oiled, though I didn't put oil right into the inner bit on this side. So maybe I could do with a bit more oil. Yeah, that's definitely in need of grease, I think. Lift that bit up and smear a bit in there. A bit smoother now. And under that hole, and on that hole, I guess, we need to put some for the arm. And I think that's most of it done. Now does that pivot's there, does this need a bit? I think most of it is lubed. Plate does scrape a little bit. I mean, a little rubber piece come off there. Yeah, to be honest, I think I'm going to put a bit, not sure if it had it originally, but you can see where that's been scraping. Lift that up a bit and get under that spring and just put a bit in there, I think. Not a lot of friction there, but still. It's probably been rubbing a bit, depends what pressure's on it. In normal operation, you can hear that little piece under there, which is around here. Tick, tick, ticking as it goes around those little ramps, but they stop it going the other way. I think this is the direction it probably goes, until that other bit just hooks it and allows it to run again. Hooks it. I think that's the idea of that bit. That's where this, where is that piece now? This bit, I think, on our arm. No, that's not it. Where's the little hooky bit? Oh, that's on the roller. Oh. Oh, hang on. Have we got that on the... Oh. Oh, that's in the wrong position. Okay. Yeah, this tick, tick, ticks around here somewhere. Where's that roller? Yeah, is that roller? No, it hasn't. There's the roller. It hits that little indent. But yeah, interesting. That's not stopping that from turning. Oh, because this thing's against it. So that may, I mean, it may even make the two go together, I guess, is another option. In some modes, at least that turns nicely now. In other modes, this releases it. When our arm pushes on this bit, and that's actually pushing out at the same time on one of those little bits. Yeah, so this is our arm parts. I'll give them a quick clean as well. And these are attached, so we don't need to lubricate them. Well, we definitely don't want to lubricate them. That could possibly do with a bit of oil on this bit, but we don't want to lubricate them down that hole, because we want that to bite into the shaft so it stays attached to it. Now, is this bit bent as well? It looks a little off. Yeah, hard to know. I mean, is it meant to be like that? Because this is the sort of area someone's been messing around with, I think. I guess we can easily adjust that later if it is seemingly out. That is very loose. I don't know that we really need to lube it. Could put a tiny bit of oil in there, I guess. But yeah, I don't think it's really necessary at all. Get a little drip of oil just to run into there and wipe off the excess. Probably not necessary. This one I might as well try and clean up a little bit at least. And I think that was the bit that pressed on the switch. When it's allowed to anyway, when we're not in stacker mode. Yeah, those bits should be fine. Let's have a look at our arm here. That end bit there is what sits in the grease on the bottom. And that, no, I don't think it needed lubing at the top. Get some of this dust again off the spring. Definitely grease on that bit. Yuck. That's gone probably harder than most of it. Now why is that? Oh, is that pivoting somewhere on the top bit? Not quite sure what that bit does. But maybe I'll put a little bit of grease on there just so I don't forget. Let's just put a thin coating on there in case it is needed. Now I've got a couple of pivot points. I probably should read the instructions at this point because it does tell you about lubing this thing. I'll just put a tiny daub there and on the end of that screw. It did say something about felt somewhere and a clutch that you don't want to get oil on. So let's hope I didn't oil that up, whatever it was. I don't see any sign of clutches in this thing. So let's hope we haven't done the wrong thing there somewhere. Or is it in here maybe? It's got some weird thing in there, but that doesn't rotate, so this other thing is, where does this, oh that's the roller, that's right. Oh, we're going to have to solder the connections back to that. Oh, well, it's not as bad as it looked from above. Oh, we've got some other bits on the main bit we've got to do, including this bit. What is that? Oh, that's to do with the idler. Oh yeah, this is just the adjuster. So that's probably not that important since it's working fine. Possibly wants a bit on that pin. Since that's got a bit of friction on it, I guess it should go right down around that bit. And yeah, this bit that goes up and down, that's got very sticky grease on it. That could definitely do with a lube. And that's got this sprung bit underneath. And yeah, this other point here. Dust and muck everywhere, and the spring's covered in grease. So that bit there wants something putting on it. I'll put some grease underneath on that. That'll get up in that hole. So when we press this bit down, so if you press it and just put some grease on it, that should get up in there nicely. And it really wants it on this upper part by the look of it as well. It looks like it had plenty on it originally. not sure what we're going to do with the idler, but I guess while we've got it apart, so what this is made out of, it's not metal though, but it's lasted alright. Have we got a nut on the other end of that? Yeah, we do. Oh, maybe that's where that's where the clutch is, I think. I think we're about to find our clutch, because that makes sense. It would be a clutch there in case something jams up or something. Or maybe let it slip when it gets to a high tension bit or something, I don't know, but let's have a look. And nuts and bits and pieces on the other side. Couple of washers, and that's, yeah, that's it. It's phenolic or something this thing's made out of. Although, is that actually a clutch? They're actually well held together, so maybe not. Yeah, they've got metal bits coming through holes, so no, there's no clutch there. Probably will need to put a bit of lube. I think it's had some underneath it. A little bit around that inner bit. Because that's definitely not a clutch, that's a pivot point. And while I've got that open, let's clean off this disgusting thing. Oh god, there's some horrible grease in there. Is that actually bearings or something in there, or just a washer? Yeah, now there are bearings under there. It looked like one of those sort of things. Oh, what have we got? Two bits are separated here, so we've got a copper washer and something underneath it, which would be the upper part of the bearing, I guess. Can we pull that up without it all falling to bits? I think you can. Oh, it's got another plate underneath, I think. Oh no, it doesn't. Oh, it does down there, but not attached to it, unfortunately. I'm just going to be careful we don't lose all these. I think, yeah, it's a folded bit of metal, so they're folded into the... That really could probably do with a spray and degreaser, ideally. So, yeah, let's get the bearing out of this bit. Get all the old grease out of the worst of it. I should really take that bottom half of the bearing out, but it's got a little ball bearing race thing in there, and yeah, all the balls are captured in there, thankfully. Probably should get the worst of the grease out of that bit as well. Probably ideally put in some degreaser or something, but yeah, probably just scrape out the worst between the balls and pack it with new grease until we sort out an idler for this. It's not much point getting too excited about getting all the friction out of the platter. So it should just be filled back in with grease and a bit extra. And then there was a black bit here, which once, I guess I could have done the other side, but I didn't really want it all over my fingers. Let's just put plenty of grease on that and drop it back on top. Yeah, it's not an awful lot, so let's put plenty on there. Up there, now we've got a copper bit, we might as well clean it up a bit, I guess. I'll put a bit of grease on there, so that should lubricate those washers, and a little bit got stuck on there from when I packed it in there without them. And we've got a locking washer. do a slightly thinner screwdriver. Yeah, it's got plenty of play. It's got a little copper piece in there. Copper tube up the middle of it, which sets the height sort of thing. So no matter how much you tighten it, it's only going to tighten on that copper tube. Oh, I've got rubber mounts there, but look at it, I didn't notice those before. But at least they're in reasonable conditions. That's another thing that's likely to fail in these things. We've still got this bit here. Yeah, that's got some nasty grease. Does that come off at all? No, we're riveted on. That's handy. That's fine. Oh, this is the bit that rotates. You can take that shaft off if you want to. Oh, and that's the bit that locks from that other central piece. Yeah, that's not very pretty. That's got some horrible grease on it. Put it in there. Fit around there. Yeah, they didn't make that easy to service. Thankfully it hasn't seized up. Some muck on the other side of it. Quite a bit of it. There's the dust. I guess all we can really do is put a little bit here and there. Yeah. Feels like it's scraping there or somewhere. A tiny bit. I have to remember that end of that spring went into something. I guess we really have to flip it back over to reinstall it because that top gear can fall out. So that's our arm. I think it went that way, didn't it? There should be a hole for the spindle to go down. Where did that come out? Remember, oh, there it is. There's this. So that's a spindle hole, that half D. That probably wants a little bit of grease as well, I guess. Yeah, it's quite dirty on the other side. I completely forgot. So that's what this other bit here is related to. I didn't realise there was anything related to that. Well, let's see. Oh yeah, wait, no, that's right. Because when you drop the spindle down, it pushes on that bit, which lifts this other bit up here and does something. Oh, that allows this thing to move, I guess. What happens when it's not in place? Doesn't stop it. Oh, it doesn't move as far or something. Not sure, but that's related to that. So spindle, that's towards the middle bit there. So where does our rocker duct bit come up? Oh, that's our arm. Rocker comes through the big hole. And here we can see that gear should line up with that. The master cam gear. Oh, and yeah, this master cam center comes out through there, and there's a screw goes into it. I think we've got two bits lined up fairly closely. Oh, this had that other little arm bit on. I was going to say, I don't think we have a shake-proof washer going straight into that. I'll do that up fully. So that had this. That's how I mark things. Makes life much easier. Well, that doesn't hold it on. Ah, there's more screws than I thought, obviously. There's one here with a washer, that must have gone in there. I thought there was only 3, must have been 4. Oh, that's right, I did find a 4th one in the end, didn't I? That's right, there's another one there. You can see the shake-proof washer's gone in there. And we need to go slightly sideways, that's better. Still isn't quite right, I don't think. Yeah, that's biting. And the one with the little eyelet thing on it. Well, I must clean that off while we're at it. Because it won't get an opportunity like this again to get that bit clean. Not that it really matters because it's under that cover, but if we can get all the edges of that cover cleaned under, and it won't have to take all the dust out of there anyway. And I'm not sure exactly where that went, but what it did, oh, did that hold the, oh, that probably held the wire for the, that's what that was. That would have clamped the wire to the pickup. They put it there for something, so that would be it. Oh, we've got that horrible spring here to get back on, haven't we? So that's, might have to use a hook or something on that. I guess I shouldn't get too excited about sticking everything back together until I've got that back in place. What's that meant to hit? Oh, is that like a stopper for that? Yeah, it must be. Yeah, it stops that rotating too far. 78. Yeah, that seems, like I say, that motor's dropped a bit, or maybe it's the idler's just catching because it's so hard. We can, I guess, can we adjust this? Oh yeah, is that a grub screw in there? Maybe. We can probably slightly adjust this to suit the height anyway. And oh yeah, that's right, this just sits on the bottom gear of that part. The top gear goes onto the platter. Oh yeah, we've got to get the arm back on, and I think we've got to lubricate this little hole on the top here. Probably wouldn't hurt to anyway. Looks like it had a little bit of greasy stuff on there. Even if I just put a slight bit around it and in it. Yeah, I could do it a good clean, dirty as black stuff all over it. I hope that's not worn metal, but it could be something like that. Who knows how many records this thing played in its lifetime. May not have been many, may have been a ton. So we've got to get this. Oh yeah, there's the little bit. That was the rubber bit that was under that little clamp, so I was right about that. So at least we know where that wire goes. I'll sort that out later though. Yeah, it's sitting right down. But we've got to fit a couple of bits back in there. And which order did they go in? Oh, I've forgotten. That bit I think was on top because that was the bit I marked first, is that right? Oh no, I've lost my marking on the other one. So, can we work it out from where the thing sat? Of course I forgot I had markings on it and went and watched it and lost them. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that other one went on the top, but we'll soon find out because yeah, it's got to go. Oh, this is catching this. Oh, this arm. Okay, that's where that bit I greased goes under a little bracket there. Okay. So we know that probably did need greasing. We've got to put this arm with the screw to hold it. Oh, I put the screw back in there, didn't I? Which, so I didn't lose it, and it's in too far. sure if we can really film this very well, but that's the shaft of our arm. And I've got it upside down, I think. That's really clever. So that's the shaft of the arm coming through. And that should come across here and hit that bit. And then yeah, the other bit would be lower, I think, because that's where the other bit has to come up. Now the other thing I was talking about is this bit worn? How do you know? I guess you don't. I think we're best to put this back together and see if we can get it to work at all or any better before we touch any of that. I don't know if it's now's a good time, but it probably wants some grease on that bit too. I'm not sure how far around this thing it goes, but I've got to slide the arm back. Oh, the arm is catching under a bit on top. Come on. There we go. That bit can't go past the pole, so I know it's roughly in there somewhere. Oh, that's right, I marked it above one of the screws. That's right, I remember. Yeah, good thing I did mark this. So I've got to line my marks back up. Get the top bit, the sensor of the actuator when it gets to the center of the record. And I think the other bit was directly below that. Yeah, a bit hard to really show any of this. And I believe I marked it above that hole for the grub screw. Yeah, and the other grub screws around that way. I think that's correct. Guess we'll find out. Not hard to redo it, I guess. Time's up wherever. So we're going to reconnect the switch, we're going to reconnect the pickup, but we won't worry about the pickup until the last minute, I don't think. And we don't really need to worry about the switch yet. Now that arm's... Ah. Huh. Does that mean I can't get the arm back under this other piece? Oh, the arm is not moving at all. Oh, stuck on the switch is why. So I'm going to push the switch down and move that. It doesn't want to rotate at all. Ah, I just realised I've got this switch bit completely in the wrong spot here. That's better. Probably should have lifted everything up again. So that's one bit that got out of whack. But now the arm doesn't want to rotate either. Oh, I said there's something blocking the... There is something blocking the arm. Oh, is it because the... Don't tell me we've got to have this piece in. Yeah, that's... Yeah, something just gave way anyway. Yeah, so that's... We now know what that bit does. When you push that spindle in, it releases a piece that blocks the arm from moving. Oh well, learning as we go. I guess the next question is, can we get the main cam gears to work? That little arm's coming up. I have to press something here. I've forgotten now. Well, our arm's rotating, but we again can't move our... Oh, because yeah, you've got to push it right down. So that was what was causing me some grief, I think, originally when the arm wouldn't do anything. There we go. Ugh. Something's not 100% there, but and this should come in until it triggers. Still not really lifting up as high as it should, I don't think. Oh, it certainly drops down. So that should lift a lot higher, I think. And again, it's still not coming back. But one thing I noticed is I wonder if we can adjust this piece, our half circle thing that the arm's on, because I just tightened off where it was. Can I drop that down? Because this shaft kind of allows you to move things around. One issue we got is I think I've got the arm in the wrong position, and it has this little copper piece here that allows it to tilt, because it was dropping right down. That's on top of this bit. I think I was under it before, because that's where the grease showed. Yeah, that's dropping way too far down. The question is, how do I get that? Can I kind of just push that in by gently bending? Yeah, I think we can just gently bend that a little bit and it springs back. Probably not the ideal way to do it, but no, that lifts up. That does lift rather high if that's what it's going to do. The question is, how does it get back onto the record then? See, these positions may all be out. So it should have weight on it, of course, to pull it down a bit. That's lifting. It's swinging. Well, that's better than it was doing before. Now, it would have a bit more weight on it. So, well, how big is a 12-inch record on here? Because, of course, I'm thinking it's down in this hole, but it's not, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so that has to drop down. I'll make sure that's in place. It has to drop down here somewhere. Now, one thing I just noticed I didn't do is I think that had to go through this bit. Did it push against that? Either way, I'm pretty sure this piece, I think I might have to remove that little clip. Is that on the outside? Usually they sit on the outside. Yeah, it's just on the outside. Got to get that through there. And yeah, I'm not sure which side. Did I put this back in the right place? That's the other question. Should that be on the other side of this? Yeah, I get a bad feeling that's in the wrong spot, because this thing can't actually come back. So I think we've got this piece possibly over this piece where it shouldn't be. Yeah, that would actually probably make sense. So do I have to remove the whole thing, or can I carefully pull that out of the way? I'm still not sure that's going to work. Now we've got that blocking it, of course. So this would probably go down in that piece. That makes more sense. But yeah, that spring I forgot to put in. And the motor, I've just, rather than hooking the switch back up, I've just bypassed that bit. As soon as you try and strip that wire, I'll basically cut this piece out of it that went to the switch. As soon as you even try and strip this rubber, it just crunches and breaks. The other end might still have some life in it at the switch end. Yeah, that bit's not too bad, but this other end, it was just breaking off. Well, that bit's slightly better, but the bit on the motor, yeah, just gone as hard as anything. And the other thing we'll do is we can unsolder this, and of course we can cut them off, but we want to possibly use this connector again in the future. It may even be the same connector in the other radiogram. But if we get some solder on this and pull on the wire while sort of pushing back on the black bit, putting some pressure using your finger and thumb to sort of hold that up. While pulling the wire back, you can get these out of here, because I think we'll just hook them up to a terminal block. So far these other wires are okay, but got to be super careful with these things that they don't break, and it might even be worth earthing the chassis as well. Probably is, I think. So that if we do get a fault, we trigger the earth leakage. If any of this wire cracks and touches the chassis. So that was the odd pin out, is the earth. But let's do that, and that way you're safe, because this thing isn't earthed in the radio chassis that we had. That unit was only twin, so while we're testing it, we'll cut these down, put them in a terminal block, and that'll make that a bit safer. But it looks like we still need to lube something around here. It's hard to know if that, I get a feeling before you just pressed it and it shot back up again. Whether it should though. Maybe it is meant to stay down. Oh, and I better put that little clip back on I took off too, which I completely forgot about. Certainly when gravity's on your side that way. But that's assuming we've got all the springs back, and then sometimes it locks down. But I want to get this motor running under its own power, so we can see if we can get this idler to operate and get this thing powered up under its own stuff. But the problem is we won't be able to see anything on the top here, because the platter will need to be on there. Let's see if we can get any motion out of this thing. Just goes into that hole and sits there. And that's about it. Look at it. Absolutely hopeless. Oh, that's right, we needed to adjust the height of something here. Yeah, that's terrible. This whole bit probably needs a lubrication as well. Try to slide that pin out, being very careful how much force you put into it so it doesn't shoot off. Yeah, that's a, thought that was a piece of copper, but it's actually just something soft. Bit of felt. Wow, those things disappear. Yeah, that couldn't be more useless. Oh, is this a clutch maybe? Is that what that, oh no, that slides on a spring. I think that all needs lubricating. And that is about as high as it goes. There's no adjustment there, so that sets the height of this bit. But then we can probably alter that on the shaft. That actually comes through near the motor here, this piece under here. Oh yeah, it's had a spring on it, that's alright. I did lubricate that bit. What does it tell us about lubrication? The automatic trip arm clutch. Any oil or grease should be removed. Motor bearings, saturate top and bottom felts, pick up arm shaft, apply 1 drop each bottom bearing point, brackets hole, and hole through main base plate. So they're saying that automatic trip arm should have a clutch on it, which was, which bit? Yes, that piece that comes in towards the centre. Automatic trip arm 33. that's this piece where they're showing a pointy bit, which isn't necessarily exactly the same in this. Now we've got to release this thing, haven't we? Which bit did it? Well, that's the trip arm, I think. So maybe this is a slightly different model. I'm going to put a bit of grease on that bit. Probably should have cleaned the old grease off, but it's not looking too bad. Yeah, that was kind of stuck at the end there. Probably needs the other side doing as well. So that's certainly freed it a lot better. I just got to be careful we don't get it on the motor shaft there. Whoop, spring just jumped off again. Oh, probably because I pushed it so far that we hit the spring. I'm pretty sure that spring goes in that hole there. But that's not meant to go that far. Well, we're bending that one too much too, probably. That wants a bit of grease on it as well. And a bit around the bottom on that plastic washer thing there. For when we put the idler back, I guess we can just sit it on and make sure all feels good. That's a bit better. Not sure why that would need to slide back and forwards. Oh, because the rim, yeah, that's just an automatic setter. So it can press against the rim correctly. Like I said, other spring pushes it onto the rim. So that wants to be free to self-adjust. Now what are we going to do with this awful mess? And it's just pinch that washer off there, I think. Yeah, let's put that back in place so we don't lose it. Yeah, it's so hard a large file, actually large flat file, file it, which we might just have to patch it up for now, even if it ends up being a bit squared off. Well, better than it was. Yeah, got hardly any torque though. It really wants a rubber belt sticking to it, I think. It doesn't help, there's a few very low spots. And I guess if I sort of run it on the file, I've got more chance of getting a bit rounded like that. This is purely just to try and get it going. Yeah, it's all over the place, as you'd expect given all those dents in it. Sounds a bit less lumpy than it did a minute ago, but well, if that spindles, it's a bit noisier now, you can hear it. But if we've got enough grip, we might be able to get the platter to turn enough, because I want it to run something at like the speed it was designed to, just for test purposes. What's the inside of this? Probably wants to clean out the inside there. I might just run a bit of paper towel, selected metho around that, just to try and give it as much chance of gripping as possible. Plenty of black stuff coming off it, so it's probably got the remains of the idler in there. And in fact, it looks like someone's greasy fingerprint. I don't know if that was mine, I don't think so, but given how hard that is to remove, I hope it's not mine. But yeah, that's definitely fingerprints, I think, but they are stuck on extremely well. No, they might add some extra grip, who knows. And I guess, did I grease this up? I can't remember, I don't think I've touched it yet, so let's, I need to put a little bit of grease in there. And a little bit on that bottom, which is a little bit filthy. Oh, it sits on a copper washer down in there by the look of it. Any grease will help just to make it run a bit better. Could have sworn this thing looked a bit cleaner before, but it might have sat on the floor or something. Let's see, without the spindle, it's stalled, I think. It's trying. Wow, that really is bad. That sounds like, oh, it's just scraping on the idler, I think. Yeah, that does seem, that's way too tight. Okay, let's maybe clean this thing right out. There must be some bag of grease in there or something, because it should spin freer than that, I think. But a bit of new grease might help get the old stuff out if it is bad. And a cotton bud soaked in methyl will do the rest, hopefully. Oh, of course, what am I thinking too? It's got to run this, hasn't it? So it's got to, it does have a job on its hands, because we've got to run our mechanism, though I don't know if that's doing anything at the moment. We're probably at least rotating that gear. Oh, well, let's give it another coat of grease. Oh, one thing I wanted to do was quickly go over this surface in case there's anything. Seems pretty alright. But we need to remove every bit of friction we can at the moment. Don't know what else I could wrap around that. I guess I could even just try gluing some fine sandpaper or something, anything to that idler wheel just to give it a decent surface. I guess one thing I can do is put some grease, don't know if it'll make much difference, but on these teeth it's got to help a little bit. Not sure if they're really meant to be greased, but I'm going to put a bit on there anyway just for now. Always wipe it off later if need be. That's certainly a lot higher, maybe too high at this point, but at least we can see it trying to work. Yeah, it's a lot better, it's got a definite action now. Seems to trigger around in the right spot. Whoops. And then die. It's not really going to let another one drop though if it doesn't come out further. But it lands in the right spot. I'm wondering about how it clears the record while the other one drops. This one coming down now is going to hit that. I guess we should be careful with the motor, make sure it's not overheating. No, it's not even warm, I don't think, just maybe the slightest bit warm, but still be careful when you mess around with things like this. It's easy to forget you might be putting a bit of stress on things. I guess we could try and actually try and patch this stylus up, see if we can actually at least get some sound, even if not amplified, just the mechanical sound of it running. But these are in very poor condition. Yeah, it's hard to tell if that's actually been bent on the very end. It sure looks like it has, but can we fix it without breaking it? Oh. Man, that is jumping around all over the place. But I think we do have a bit of Van Halen playing, but of course you can't hear it just mechanically because of all the noise this thing's making. Thankfully I got some of these gold sockets from Jayco which tin almost instantly, because the old ones always used to be a bit of a pain to tin. These you just touch them with a soldering iron and they're done just about. The old ones I used to buy from Dick Smith or wherever back in the 80s and 90s were pretty hopeless. Fine once you tinned them, but getting enough heat in to tin them was a pain. So I still have one left, I think, which I might toss out because these are just so much better to use and cheap. Oh, let's hook that up and see if we can get something. Oh yeah, there we got sound. Oh, no, that's hooked up alright. Well, that's the worst sounding record player I think I've ever heard. It's probably actually better hand cranked, but yeah, it seems to be magnetic. Comes through a lot louder on the magnetic input anyway. Was that meant to be dropping on the record? Possibly we got that a bit out of whack. Yeah, probably got a thread on that side so it doesn't just push in. So how's this meant to work again? That sits here like that. Comes out. Oh yeah, that worked. It does just slip by it. Maybe that's why that's tilted a bit. That didn't drop in the right spot. Jumping on it a bit. Yeah, when it drops it seems to... How is that possible? Why does it come in further? Ah, but it does... Yeah, I think about it, it does detect when there's no record How on earth does it do that? I think it's meant to, when it gets to the last record, it's meant to do that. It's meant to stop, or at least stop playing. I don't know if it's meant to turn the motor off as well. Okay, well that's kind of magic. I'm not sure how it does that. Oh, we're meant to put this on here too, aren't we? To keep our stack in place. Oh, it started on its own for once. Comes out. Yeah, when there's a record on there, it goes back. So that's working as required. I'll have to look up how that actually works. How on earth does it know when a record has dropped down or not? Because I'm pretty sure that spring there doesn't do anything other than hold the record or whatever. I mean, that thing can't sense that it's dropped the record. But I think that's basically working amazingly. Well, you know, sort of. Besides a completely shot idler, a not very good needle in it. But there you go, that's your velvet action. Not very velvety at the moment, unfortunately, because its idler is absolutely shot, but at least I know that might be worth trying to do something with. I've glued this belt on, though the old Silly's quick grip I got isn't the best, and it hasn't stuck the best, but it might be enough just to hold it. Just to see if we can get it to run a bit smoother. I'll try it out. It didn't go under the thing, did it? Oh, it'll be right anyway, I think. Certainly less noisy than it was. But the main problem was trying to get this turntable back on, which I've given that a clean. I just rubbed my hands all over it and got rid of the worst of the dust. A couple of bits have come on again, and then sprayed it with some cleaner and ran it under the tap basically. Gave it a good rinse out, and then just got some paper towel and took off a fair bit of dirt. It was still a little bit dirty, I think, but some of this fluff was coming off as well. I guess the velvet part of this turntable. So the little bits are coming off. It's rather threadbare there and a few patches on the edges, but it's certainly nice to see it clean again. And there is a picture online of another unit that uses these. It doesn't seem to have any cover there or anything. Well, that's a bit less noisy than it was at least. Doubt it's going to sound particularly great, but at least it might grip it a bit better and not be as noisy. And I've been looking up a bit of stuff on this. This cartridge, I think it's a 40T or something. It uses an A1 or an A3 needle. A1 being for the red label for the 3345. And there are, I forget what the brand is, some German sounding brand from America, I think they are. There are replacements still available in America, though with quite a lot of postage on eBay. I might still get one, and I'm going to have a look through the Stanfield catalogue that's available through Wagner Electronics here in Australia to see if they've got anything. And it's just the needle, it's just like a little tiny piece of metal with a needle one end and then a little shaft that goes up in there. So they must sort of just pull out, you just, I guess, rotate them and pull them out. Because it'd be nice to get a new needle for it. And I don't think it was quite as bent as I thought. They seem to have a little kick up at the end, at the needle end. Looks like this is going to go on its own maybe. Yeah, drops it.
Just tell me, don't run, and there's no turning back.
Absolutely terrible sounding, and in mono. So there's not a lot of point getting a new needle for it anyway until that idler is fixed. But at least there is some hope of fixing that idler if I can get some, maybe get a belt to glue on there or something. So really got to decide whether I spend a bit of money on this thing or not. It would be nice to get a new needle for it, but till the wow problem is gone and whether I can get that thing filed down or something to a consistent level, I guess the thing would be to spin the actual idler, like clamp it onto a bit of metal, put it in a drill or something, and then just slowly bring in some sandpaper or something and just keep taking off the high points until it's round. So it could be worth, I might try something like that. I just want to glue a belt on there to see if it would make much difference, and it's better but certainly not perfect. So I might even not bother going any further with it until I absolutely have to. So I'm going to take that arm and that bit off and put the piece back on here. Maybe hook the switch back up with some better wiring. And there was that piece that fell out of it. Fell out of the unit anyway. I'm not sure if that was anything to do with it. Kind of looks like something that would have come out of a record player, but not sure what that is. But at least we've seen what this looks like. It's kind of cool with the way the records sit on there, I must say. Certainly a different design to like the BSRs and stuff that all sat flat. So yeah, it sits on about a maybe 15-20 degree angle or something. It's kind of cool. Can't really show it from this position, I don't think, but that's the kind of angle it sits on, in line with that bend. So yeah, it gives it a kind of cool look, which I wasn't really expecting it to do. There is something about the way they sit on a funny angle that's kind of cool, the way they sit above the record, or the currently playing one. And I was a bit confused about it because this is a 53 model this came out of, but someone's info said that it was around 51 is the correct date for when this model of turntable came out, the 3-speed one, to replace the earlier 1-speed velvet action. So it looks like these did come out and start getting fitted to models around 51 with the Stromberg Carlsons. It just happened to be that this model is a 53, so a couple of years after they first changed, I think it was late 51 or something, they went to these. And I'm still not 100% sure how it knows whether there's a record there or not, and whether it should return and finish or whether it should keep playing. Maybe there's some clues in here. Mechanism continues to cycle. Yeah, so it is that lever bit under here. It's the weight of the records on here. Yeah, that's why it pushes back up a bit. So the weight of the records, let's just check that, drops that down. Yeah, that's in the down position, so that's what they use. Of course. That's a clever design. So when the last record falls off here, this pops up, only just slightly, not right out of its little hole down there. And that tells the unit that that's the last record. When it's finished playing it, instead of going back and trying to play another one, it goes back to the stop position. And I think it should actually turn the switch off, which we haven't got connected at the moment. Clever design. So just a single record on there is enough to drop that down. And that's the piece. Well, we can't see it now, can we? Because it was that big springing bit behind under the motor there that came across to this other, or to that other arm. And what does it lift up and down? Something over here. Oh yeah, well, part of that is that stop arm. Yes, there's an arm under here. I don't know if I can really show that, but So a piece under there goes up and down. Oh, if I can make it. Doesn't want to move now because of gravity, but this arm piece here, which will then block this from moving depending on its position, it can stop the arm. And it also affects, I guess, what it does in that position as far as coming back to the switch. But that's the bit under there, which we've now lubed up, so that should all be working nicely. I thought they must have some simple thing right in front of my face. I didn't even think about that. Oh, well, I might keep an eye out and see if another one of these turns up anywhere with a knob on it, which would be handy. And possibly a good stylus or something, good idler. I doubt we'll find a good idler on these because, like someone pointed out on one of the forums, it's a bad design in that it sits on the motor shaft, so wouldn't have been an issue in the day when people used their one regularly. It would have kept moving it and stopping it in different places, and the rubber would have been in better condition to bounce back in those days. I think the BSRs, and I'll have to check it again, but I think they come across when you start the record player, all those slide switches for start and everything. That's part of that is to move not just the switch but the actual thing, whereas these, they don't want the switch. You don't have a thing for the switch as such other than pressing that thing or manually moving it. So that's why the BSRs have that sliding switch for stop and start and reject. It also disengages the idler to protect it from sitting in one spot and getting an indent in it. But that may be all I do on this one, so thanks for watching.